podcast 235 of 5-Star Potential, your weekly Football Manager podcast. I'm Matt, and on this week's pod, I'm joined by Dave, Dupe, and Paddles. Welcome, gents.
Hello.
Thank you, Matthew. Hello.
And hopefully, for the first time ever, people will be able to see our faces. Well, not for the first time ever, but for the first time in quite a while.
Dave hasn't streamed in a while, so it's probably for the first time in a long time.
This is Dave, everybody.
This is what he looks like if you've forgotten.
But anyway, on this week's pod, we will be hearing about Dupe's save adventures because something rather large has happened in his...
That joke.
Wow. I wasn't going there. I was going for the title of your save, to be honest. But
Oh, okay.
yeah. Anyway, but yes, so Dupe's save update we'll start off with, but we also will be discussing effective midfield roles. And it's more of a debate. Some could call it a masturbate between ourselves.
Master debate.
Safe to say, Matt, there is definitely somebody masturbating. What?
I'm sure there is. Wow.
So the save.
I was going to say, there was going to be a quiz from Pedals, but he's just gone and spoilt it for himself.
To be fair, we'll probably be cancelled by then.
Maybe. Anyway, yes, let's get started. Dupe, take us through the journey of North America, or the North American leg of your save.
Yeah,
please.
so, I mean, the last time we spoke, I think it was the three of us, and I'd just come off the fact that we couldn't get this working. The leagues wouldn't load in and all that jazz, and eventually we managed to get it to work, and we had to go 6 months into the future. We had to leave Corinthians, which we were building something quite nice there, and go to something new. About June time, July, we were offered the job in Mexico for Club America, which at this stage, I'm not sure where they are real life, but real life, they make some of the greatest kits ever, right? I think we can all agree that they are tremendous. But in game, they had won the league 5 years in a row. They've won the Champions League 5 years since the creation of the database. So they were a good side, let's put it that way. It's very strange in North America because there's not much talent. You've got you've got America, Mexico, Canada, and then you have a few like Honduras, and that's about it. There's not really much more. So you're playing your group games. We had 3 Mexican teams in a group of 5. So it's very strange to be playing them 1 week in the league, and then the next week I'm playing them in the Champions League. We had Pumas, Cincinnati as well, and New York. So we had quite a tough group, but we managed to get out of that group. Mexico is very strange. You play every team once for the opening stage of the Mexican League. Then you go into like a knockout, first leg, second leg, quarters, semis, and the final. And then you do the closing league as well. And then you have a massive gap from Christmas to start of February that you don't really play much. So it's all very, very loose, and it's difficult to keep momentum because you start, then you go into you do 17 games in the league, then you play some knockout games, and it gets a little bit difficult. Anyway, we picked up the team. They started the league with 4 losses on the bounce, and they had won their first Champions League game in the league, in the group stages. Sorry, we started playing a few different systems. Couldn't really get the best out of it. We lost the League Cup quarterfinal was our first game, and we lost it on penalties, which was a bit of a shame. Then we picked up a little bit of form in the league. I'm not going to go too much, but we did quite well. We ended up finishing 4th in the league for the opening stage, and then we lost to, I can't say their name, by the way, which is no shock to anyone. I think it's Pacuna. They beat us in the quarterfinal leg of the opening stage. So we didn't do too well, but we qualified from the Champions League. And at the end of the day, that's what we wanted to do. January came, the window opened, we went to sign players, and then we actually couldn't sign anyone. You can sign players, but once you lock in your squad for the Champions League at the start of the campaign, you can't change that throughout. That has to stay like it is. So you can sell players, you can bring players in, but that original 25 gets dwindled down and you can't add anyone to it. That's the case in my game anyway. I don't know whether that's the case real life, but that's what the kind of our hands tied behind our backs. So the winter was quite quick. We got through that. We then played Pacuna again at the start of the closing stage of the league, and we lost to them. And that was the last loss that we suffered in Mexico. We went on a 13-game win streak. We beat Real España in the Champions League, absolutely smashed them. Then we played Chivas in the quarterfinals, and we beat them 2-1 on aggregate. Then we played Toluca in the semi-finals. The first leg we drew 2-2, and the second leg we won 6-2. The reason we won 6-2 was because we were very lucky that we were able to rest every single player because we had already won the league. So we knew that we didn't need to do it. We couldn't get caught, so we could just rest the whole of our team. So we played the first leg on the Tuesday. Saturday, we turned up and played a completely different 11. We beat them 2-0. And then we went into Toluca and we beat them 6-2 at home. It was a remarkable fixture, to be fair. We played very, very well. Then we played 2 league games. Again, both times, a full changed 11. And we drew both of those games. Then we had to play the Champions League. And it was against a very quick narrative built in the 250 odd days in Mexico. We had to play Pacuna again in the final of the Champions League. They've beat us in the league. They beat us in the cup. And we beat them in the final. We were 3-0 up after 25 minutes. We then went on to score another in the 61st minute. And we lifted our second trophy, our second Champions League. A nice little thing that we did for Cundo Torres, who starts at Club America. Some of you may know. He starts at Penarol, actually, I believe, on game. He was brought to Club America in 2023. He spent 10 seasons here, and he's already arranged to go to Feyenoord at the end of the season. He was injured. He was told he was orange injured just, and I took him in as like the last man sub. I brought him on with 2 minutes to go to make him lift the trophy because I just thought it was a nice thing to do. He lifted that, and we literally resigned the next day. We've had a fair few job interviews. Spoilers: Dortmund, Barcelona,
Nice.
and FC Seoul in Asia. Because we still haven't done Asia. Well, Dortmund offered us 120 million to spend, and Seoul has offered us 4.3 million. Sometimes I like to work within a budget. Do you know what I mean? Look, as good as going to these big European clubs is going to be great going to, but I think we need to go back to Asia, win it in South Korea, go over to Argentina, win it in Argentina, and then go and smash Europe. The plan is to go to Portugal, because I've never won a Champions League in Portugal, and try that, but we'll see what happens. We are currently 11 seasons in. We've got 2 of them done, and we are going, by the looks of it, to FC Seoul, because we are stopped on ready to kind of accept the job, and they are in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, and some big boys have been knocked out already.
Easy.
So we could walk straight into a job and potentially win another Champions League straight away. And weirdly, it then lines up with the Libertadores, so then we could potentially go and steal a Libertadores. So by the end of the year, we could be 2 up, or probably be 0 up. Very exciting times.
Question, Dupe. China, you were in the China League, and then
Chinese League,
Chinese League between there and South Africa. You were somewhere else, right?
I started in China, in the lower leagues of China. We went to India, then back to China, then to South Africa. In China, we lost 1 final, 2 semi-finals. We then went from South Africa winning the Champions League first season. We went to Brazil, lost in the quarters, left there. Went back to Brazil with Corinthians, lost in the final. Then we went to Mexico and won it first attempt. 250 odd days we were in Mexico and we won the Champions League.
Are you not confused as balls with the league rules of each of these leagues? Because does any of it carry through? Like you think there's a rule in this league, but it's actually from another one? Or how do you track it? Do you track it anyway? Or
it's difficult. For example, like in Mexico, if you have a 1 o'clock kickoff, after an hour you'll have to stop and sleep for a bit, and then and then come back and play the second half, like that sort of stuff.
Well, the siesta.
They have to have a little snooze. Yeah. No, look. To be fair, it's great. I love the fact we could have gone to the MLS. I know the MLS really well. We've done the MLS before, I know the rules. I know the regulations. I just like the fact that we're doing it in different places. I've never managed in any of these leagues that we've managed in right now, which is another reason why I want to go to Portugal rather than go to somewhere bigger. I mean, and that might bite me in the bum, but I just like the fact that I've never been to Mexico. And I'll tell you this now, I'd love it if we beat them. No, I'll tell you this now, Matt liked that. I can see, you can see actually, you all can see Matt can like it.
I did like that a lot.
I'll tell you now, if you've never managed in Mexico, get your ass over there because it is such a fun league to manage in. We were only there for a little bit, and I kind of went into the game, and I said to the chat, I'm not that bothered if we lose this final because I'd quite happily do another season. It is good. It's quick. There's some amazing talent out there, and you get to play some funky systems, which I've managed to play as well. So, yeah, honestly, recommend fully go and check it out. Go over to Mexico.
We got to sit down at the end of this and do a little blog about the different leagues and the rules.
Yeah, you definitely can write it. I'll tell you.
And you talk. Yeah. You can spell it out.
I won't spell now, mate. But yeah, absolutely. It's not that difficult because, funny enough, I don't know if you've played the game before. You can go onto the league and then the rules, and it just lists them all there. It's really handy. I don't know if you know about it.
No, can't read.
That explains the blogs.
You can write. Yeah. You're making me want to do a Pentagon challenge again, Dupe. Every time we talk about this, I think my record. What did I do in 20 seasons? But you want to go a different way about it. If you do Portugal, you know, it might be quicker. But this is what I mean. Somebody told me they did it in. What was it, like 10 years or something? Yeah. But if you do what you're saying, like if you can go to Seoul, win it, then go to the Libertadores and win it and get like 3 in 12 months, that'd be absolutely ridiculous. Who was the team in Mexico that you said? Pachuca.
Who I played? Yeah, Pachuca?
I think it's Pachuca, I think.
Pachuca? I don't know.
Pachuca, yeah. Rather than, I was like, I thought it was about, like Macuna. That's what it sounded like to me.
I tell you what they are. Runners up, mate. That's all you need to know. All right. To be fair, Dave, I watched you cheat a lot in your Pentagon challenge, and I thought to myself, no, I'm joking. I watched Dave like the story and like how excited you were getting about it, and I thought, yeah, I could do that, but like I don't know how you're managing in these leagues that you don't know anything about, and how dull that might be. Absolutely wrong. Honest to God, like I think that it's not been dull wherever we go. We're going back to Korea. Like I said, I've never managed in Korea before, and I'm looking forward to doing that. That's going to be super fun. And I might not go to Portugal and win it. I might want to try and win it within that 20 seasons, because at the moment we're 11 seasons in, and I could technically beat your record. Just saying. And if I now I know that, I'd love it if we beat you. I'd love it.
Do it, man. You'll smash it in 20 now.
Yeah,
I think the job offers you're getting as well.
Yeah, the fact that we're getting offered interviews for Dortmund and Barcelona, and I think that kind of shows. But I had to step back. I had to go the other way because I thought if you go there now, you're going to struggle to go back.
I think in mine, I got the Man City job after I won the second one, which was in Africa. But Man City at the time weren't as good as, you know, they have been. But I think in general, and this isn't a dig at you or anything, when I did a journeyman last year, the way I advanced so quickly up the league surprised me how easy it is and how quickly your reputation must go up now compared to, you know, previous versions of the game. But yeah, you're right, man. I don't know if I've said the story of how I started it, but I was actually going on a holiday and was on like a coach to a cruise ship, and I loaded up my laptop, got this job in like the second division of China and started playing it, and I thought, what the hell am I doing? Oh, I'm not going to get into this at all. And like 2 weeks later, I was knee sliding when I was scoring in the Chinese second division, man. It was unbelievable. Like, proper got into it. And I think that's the issue with Football Manager, especially when it's a team that you're not familiar with. You just look at these names and I'm like, just thinking, who the hell are all these players? Give yourself, you know, a few games and a few weeks, you know, a few days playing the game. You know who your good players are. You know who your bad players are. And you go from there. But that was such a good save, man. Really, really good save. And I'd argue it's probably, if you play the game a lot, I don't think it's too late to start one now, if you haven't.
No,
already.
I don't think it takes that long. It doesn't take as long as people think. It's taken me this long because I've streamed every minute of mine, which makes it difficult. But yeah, it doesn't. And look, you get to go different places. I also forgot to tell you that I spent 30 minutes as the Poland manager. We haven't mentioned that.
Just the 13 minutes?
30.
3-0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
That makes
far
all the
better.
difference.
It took, well, basically, like they don't even offer you interviews, right? They just like we want you. I went down with the mouse and I clicked decline, and you can see it on stream. I clicked decline, and then the mouse just glitches over to the left, clicks accept. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. So it took me 30 minutes of panic to write an email to say, actually, I reject this offer. But I got announced as manager and then instantly announced as not being the manager. Everyone said, just David reload it. And I went, nah, let's just keep that as part of the narrative. So we, on our record, it shows that we were Poland manager for 30 minutes.
Leroy Rossignol, eat your heart out.
Yeah, I think that must be a record.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that, Dupe, and congratulations on the Champions League win.
Cheers, mate. North America completed it, mate.
Completed it. So that means what? That's 2 out of the 5, right?
Yeah, 2 out of the 5. And annoyingly, we've been in 4 finals that we could have won the others, and we could be going to Europe. I'm not bitter. It's fine.
Right. Okay, let's move on to our main section, which is a compare and contrast debate about midfield roles. And so the 3 roles we're kind of pitting against one another is the central midfielder on attack, a mezzala. I don't think we've really defined whether support or attack, and the advanced playmaker on support and or attack. We could probably pile some of the other central midfield roles in there as well in terms of the CMS. That would be the other example. But I think if we focus more on the attacking side of things, I think that can at least get us started. We'll probably meander around a little bit. But I think this
like a mezzala.
Like a mezzala.
Nice.
Potentially, yes.
I'm not just a pretty face. I
I
can't say that now. You can see me.
So who wants to start us off, gents, with sort of a counterpoint or a point that we can then counter on from any of these? I know we touched on a little bit of the central midfielder attack from Mad's perspective, and I think Dupe as well last week when we were talking about attacking football. So Dupe, you've got your finger up, so we'll start with you.
I wanted to touch again on the central midfielder attack because I have been inspired by Mad, and I credited you on Twitter, by the way, in a conversation I was having. I've created quite a crazy little system that is very attacking as well. But I'll tell you what, I am impressed with this player. Like this role, the way that it just links that defense and that attack, it's exciting, and it seems the joys I like is I like using PIs, right? And everyone knows that, like the central
Private
midfielder.
investigators. Or...
Yes. I like them snooping through my bins, apparently. The joys about using it like a blank role is you can almost make it your own. You know, you have your abilities to add what you like, and it doesn't restrict you. And you can do so much with this central midfielder on attack. And Mad, I thank you. I doff one's hat because I think it's absolutely a tremendous role. And it does enter the box so late. And Paul Pogba-esque last night, we're enter the box so late and being able to take the chances. He scored so many goals. So yeah, thank you, Mad.
I'm sure I've stolen it from somebody else, to be honest, or somebody probably recommended it to me.
You didn't make the roll up in the game.
No,
so
that's true.
There's only like so much credit you can get out of this.
I just sang from the rooftops on it. Yeah, like for me, you know, because you're talking about PIs, Dupe, and like what I like about that role and what I've observed, we went from a 3 in midfield to 2 in midfield. I was trying to push the mezzala kind of agenda because I think a bit about movement and space and where the player is going to spend time. And for me, I like the mezzala is on the ball a lot, but also drifting wide, I think. When we switched to kind of a 4-4-2, the objective was we want a man pushing forward, arriving in the box and arriving in late. And that's actually a trait I think you can train a player on, is arrives in box late.
Yeah. And
I've found, I've tried a couple of different players there that are quite different. Like we've put Shola Shoretiri in there, who's quite fast, and good technicals and all that. Retrained him from a winger. He's done really well in there. But then when he's been out injured, I haven't had the luxury of too much depth. Like I've put a guy in there recently, Dan Barlaser, who by all accounts, isn't fast necessarily, very average attributes. But he's bombing into the box and he's just he's in the right place at the right time when there's a ball headed down or whatever. and he's smashing them in it, and it's always because he's just got into the box onto the ball. So that's what I like about it. I feel like with the other roles, and we'll probably talk about AP or whatever in a minute, I feel like the playmaker role is a little bit more static and isn't as inclined to make those runs because they want to be on the ball. Whereas the CM on attack is making the runs, and I feel like that's what catches the defenders out as well. So that's why I'm loving life with the CM on attack. Like Dan Barlaser, for example, in the last, like this season, he's at 8 starts and 8 sub appearances. He's got 4 goals and 4 assists. I bought this guy from Rotherham. It's just working really well in terms of the role in a 4-4-2 particularly.
I was told, well, I've not used it to be honest yet. I think we had a little mention of it yesterday last week, when we were talking about attacking systems. And I wasn't really aware of how powerful it could be in FM until sort of a couple of weeks ago when I was sort of looking at tactics of the Streamer Showdown. Someone had mentioned to me that centre mid attack is actually really, really powerful. Didn't really think anything much of it. I think there were discussions on forums and on different websites and Twitter and so on about it. And then I think Jack, who at the space, who did really well in the league, was using one. I think he had Kovacic in the role, but you're right. When I played him, coming in late into the area, completely untracked, completely unmarked, and he grabbed some goals. And even if he wasn't scoring, he was just causing all types of problems. So I've not used it personally. I think I need to probably test it out. And I think I've started to do that a little bit more when we talk about something on the pod, talking about defensive football, Dupe system. I've been playing a save over the last couple of weeks using that system. So maybe centre mid attack is my next trial. But just very quickly looking at some of the attributes and stuff as well. I just had a quick search on the attributes, and someone like Nicolo Barea from Inter, I didn't realise how complete he was. Still quite young, but he's perfect for the role, I think. Lowest attribute for him in the recommended attributes is 14, and that's his long shots. Everything else is like 15 plus. So he's a really, really good player if you want to try that one.
Yeah, I've got a really good player in Mexico who his first name we've renamed to Felice because his surname is Navidad, which is amazing, by the way. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that, really. What I like about the role, personally, is unlike other roles that we're going to discuss later, is you can have it anywhere across that midfield three. So, for example, your Mezzalas, they have to be out wider. Yeah. It really gives you variety of how you can then come about and use that player to your advantage. And that, for me, is big. Also, as an attacking role as well, it doesn't really scream that it needs to be good at shooting. I know we talk about how he comes into the box late, but I've got a defensive midfielder who's very good at passing, playing that role, because his stamina's really good and his decision making's really good, and it just works so well. But yeah, he has 10 long shots, but he's still scored 9 goals this season. For me, that's perfect for a player that can still tackle when he needs to, and you can play him where you like. It's such a good role.
I'm reading the description for it here as well. When you're in the tactics screen and you hover over particularly the attack section, and the second line is specific to whether you're the mentality, and it basically says it right. I mean, it literally says the central midfielder on attack duty will more readily surge into the final third to support the forwards in and around the box. If you combine that with the right PIs, and we talked about the traits, and even looking at some of the individual training for final third and for all of that. Like you said, Dupe, I think stamina is key there because it's going to be a lot of movement. So you'll need a player who can last obviously the 90 minutes. You know how I feel about that. I'm always harping on about stamina and players not lasting the 90. But yeah, work rate, those physicals, because you need that player to be pushing on. And yeah, I think we're all having a good time with it. Dave is going to have a good time with it.
Yeah.
Until it gets nerfed.
Going to have a good time with it.
Update out in a week and it gets nerfed.
Winter update out, nerfed. Dead podcast.
I do think, I mean, the central midfield support role, very much like the central midfield attack role, that the customizability of it means that you could basically, I mean, this used to be the old trick before the mezzala role existed. It was known as the central winger, at least at that point, before the mezzala became a bit more, I guess, canon at this point in regards to Football Manager. And the central winger as a role didn't exist. So central midfielder on attack, and then with a few adjustments to make them move into channels and things like that. Obviously, there are other restrictions that other roles being added has kind of, I guess, complicated things for Football Manager in terms of how they don't make a particular role overpowered. But I do think combining the central midfield attack role with some creative traits can be really good, especially the one that you mentioned, Mad, about the arrives late in opponent's area. There are a couple of others as well. Obviously, there are the other side of it where you don't want things like dwells on ball. I think having a player with high flair in that role and high dribbling can wreak havoc. Even like basically, it's kind of they kind of play how Grealish played when he was at Villa, starting a bit deeper and then carries the ball, and then basically they'll bring themselves into a position of danger and either get a free kick or create something out of nothing, which is exactly the kind of player that you want. And in fact, I've actually, despite me being a bad omen for Blackburn this season, the past few games I've watched, John Buckley, if you've never watched Blackburn, I suggest you watch them just to watch how he plays. He plays the central midfield attack role. If you've got someone who's amazing or has amazing close control, he will try to dribble through three players in crazy close quarters. And quite often at the moment, he's still a young player, he's still developing, and so he loses the ball. But if you can get someone who can do that in FM, you'll get something out of a game, whether it is, like I said, from a set piece or from a bit of ingenuity.
Yeah, and you can pair this guy up, or even pair him up with a couple of different roles. I mean, I have him in a midfield three that's elongated. Long story. I'm weird with formations, but I have him with a playmaker and a ball winner, and it just gives him full freedom to drift up, like you said, drift wide if he wants to. And I have to say, as such a simple role, is probably one of my favourite roles this year that I've seen in the match engine. It's very good.
It's just very rewarding to see him score a goal, isn't it, Dupe? You just see them popping up and bang.
Every time I do, and then somebody in chat goes, "Hello, Merry Christmas," and it just feels so good.
Feliz Navidad. I also found, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, it must have been Ronaldo at this point because he's basically managing my save at this stage, but he knows his stuff. He at one point we had so I have a flat 4-4-2 now, but I had an inverted winger on the right, so my CM on attack is on the right of a two-man midfield, and I had an inverted winger for a while, but we were kind of talking about it, and the odd time you could see they were arriving in the same place or getting in each other's way. So I've never really liked just a winger. Well, we talked about wingers last week, and I'm just, sometimes I feel like I'm not using that position by using a winger, versus like having somebody cut inside. But we switched Arga out on the right to a winger. He's pretty fast, so he just goes up and down all day, but he stays out wide, and I think that also helps to give space for the CM on attack because he's bringing a fullback with him by just always being out wide. So that allows for that flow, that movement.
What did you not think? I don't know if I've not used a mezzala enough, I don't think. But did you not think that maybe if you used an inverted winger and then a mezzala on that side, because maybe they would have almost like crossed over each other, or do you think that would have got in each other's way?
I was doing that when we had the 4-4-3-3, or with the three-man midfield.
Yeah.
But when I switched to the 4-4-2, so we've got a flat midfield now. You can't really play mezzala without having a three-man midfield. So absolutely yes at the time, because the mezzala fills that gap when the guy's cutting inside. I think at the time didn't really have the right player for the mezzala role either, and we were pretty shit in the Premier League. So we're in the Championship now. But yeah, like I totally see what you mean. But I feel like now with the pacey winger I have, and he's not really an inside forward. He doesn't score anything. He just uses that space, drags the fullbacks out with him, and creates a bit of a channel there, which is nice.
I was going to say, have any of you had much joy with the mezzala this year, or used it much?
Mezzala's always been a go-to for me. It's a bit of an old school one, but I have actually really almost tried to stay away from it this year, to be honest, Dave. I'll be open and honest with you. I'm just going through all my systems I've been running this year, and I think experimenting has got me away from it.
I was definitely trying it, especially in and around when I was moving Shola Shora Tire. It's a hard name to pronounce as well. Inside. So Matt, you even mentioned it there about flair and dribbling. Like this guy, so we're in the year 2026. Flair 19, dribbling 16, vision 17, and he's got serious acceleration and pace 16. He's tearing it up in the championship now. He's got something like, what has he got? In 16 games, he's got 4 goals and 10 assists or something ridiculous. So I had him as a mezzala for a while, but he was very young when I was doing it. So I don't think he had the physicals to kind of keep it going. Plus, it was Premier League, and it was so maybe it's a timing thing. But I think that is the player you want in there for the mezzala role. It's the movement and finding that space. And like you said, Dave, if you have another player creating space, making those runs. I was a big advocate of the mezzala, and if I ever switch back, I probably will have to, if we ever get promoted. So maybe never. I probably will switch back and look at that mezzala role again.
I think it's important I think it's important for a mezzala, even though I don't think it's really highlighted as one of the attributes, as a key attribute, is being able to cross as much as anything else, because they find themselves out wide quite often, and so either it gives you another option, or it allows the player to be less wasteful than if they're just looking for the pass, because I think a lot of people probably think, because you've told this player, they will try and do it every single time. I certainly used to think like that, like quite blinkered when you're looking at a role. I just want this guy to do this all the time, nothing else. But that's never going to happen. The in-game match situation, he can't guarantee that, and so there will be chances that he's forced to not be able to pass or to dribble or has to cross instead of doing all of those things. Plus, wherever else his teammates are based as well on the pitch. So there are multitudes of different things that can affect where they're going to be. But it then means that especially if you are playing like a 3-man midfield and you've got a player cutting in and they are then spreading out wide, then you've got multiple options for attacking, and it gives you a lot of variety, which I think is one of those things that everyone is told when you are building a tactic. Make sure you have more than one route to goal.
I was going to say, I was quite, with like what you said, players going out wide, I'm quite surprised that crossing is one of the highlighted attributes. Straight away, they're one of the players that, excuse me, comes to my mind straight away, someone like Kevin De Bruyne. I think Bernardo sort of took over that role when De Bruyne was injured. But I mean, even on FM, if you look for those attributes, KDB is the man. And even like he just fills it perfectly. I know he's like, I think he's the highest CA player in the Premier League, if I remember correctly as well. But crossing at 19 as well, Matt, that just fills it perfectly. Like he's got a big whip on him, and just his attributes are absolutely ridiculous.
What?
Did you just say big whip?
Is that what the kids call it nowadays?
Apparently so.
Hidden attribute.
They would know about that, wouldn't he, with the editor?
It's a trait for next season. Has big whip.
Inverted whip.
Whippage.
Man has German whip as well, right, Dave?
Yikes.
Whipping excursion.
Dave,
Good.
you did a video on the mezzala, right? Did you find anything, did you find it made you want to use it? You were looking into it. I think it was the Squawka video, was it?
Yeah. I think that was like last year. I've slept since then, Matt, if I'm honest. But to be fair, when you search it, if you search mezzala Football Manager, like I've just done it just to see if I can get the media description whilst we were talking, and the Squawka video, the Squawka link, comes up top. But yeah, I think it was last year. But I use City as obviously with Bernardo, and I play like a double mezz. I did, so I use which I think is like Dupe pulled the face, and as I said it, I don't know, it's like frowned upon. You know what I mean? But,
No, it's not frowned upon. I love it. I love people that do stuff like that. It's cool. It's just.
But I think with City,
it's not my point of choice.
It's sort of like you were saying, Mad. You got inverted wingers or inside forwards that come forward, and you just have a sitter like Rodri there, and then you got two Mazzalas filling the half space. It can work. But I think with what Matt said regarding the crossing and so on, I think you do need stronger players to be able to achieve something like that, to be fair. And it's a role that requires a lot of good attributes as well. But yeah, from what I've not used it enough this year, I think it's one of those things that, like Dupe was saying, I mean, Dupe's just sent us a picture of his formation. I don't know what he's doing there. He's dragging players all over the shop, but every year there's new roles that come out, work well in the match engine. People like to try out, like CM Attack before this year. I can't remember many people using that role. So I think everything comes in phases, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've always been a shadow striker behind my strikers. This year, as you can see, because my weird tactic I've put in, because I was trying to do something slightly different, I've been playing an advanced playmaker, an AP. I don't play an AP enough. And normally I play all of my attack players on attack. I've decided to drop it into support because I want him to sit a little bit deeper in the hole and find the players that, especially I've got 2 strikers ahead of him. And I've been very impressed with that role too. Given that I've put, in my system, I've put him over to the right and I've allowed the centre mid attack to be able to use that as a shuttle, like a zone that he can work in. It works in my head, it works in the match engine, so I'm happy. But I just like the fact that the AP always seems to be available, which is one thing that I like, especially that far up the pitch, that he always seems to be able to find a pocket of space. Clichéfootball.com. He always seems to be able to find that pocket, be able to turn, and then be able to play and support the players that are going to go on and score the goals.
Yeah, I think having, like, looking at your tactics, so just for the benefit of those that aren't obviously can't see this, I guess actually we could probably do something about it now in video form. But for those of you that are listening to this in audio form only, you've got 2 strikers which are slightly offset to the right, with an AP sort of as like the fulcrum in between them, and then the centre mid sat in the central pin in midfield. But that is almost like a double pivot, but in an advanced position. So the AP will drop deep whilst the CM goes forward. And I think that piece of dynamic midfield play is causes havoc, as you rightly see, for defences, because the defensive midfielder either has to stay with the man and then watch the runner pass him in the hole it creates. Plus, if you add in a trait like comes deep to get ball, like that, you're laughing then, because you've basically got them switching positions like ad infinitum, and that sort of movement is awesome when it comes to like attacking play, because you get awesome triangles as well, especially with the way you've got the other attacking 3 set up.
Yeah, it is done on purpose. And that Alvarez, my advanced playmaker, he is a wonder kid. He's 21. He's Mexican. He has the player traits out of the box, and this is why he's done it. Comes deep to get ball and tries kill a ball often. So, like, for me, as a player that's going to play an AP, especially on support and sit in deep, like we said, comes deep to get it, and then he has the ability, because his attributes are tremendous, to be able to find that pass and try the dangerous passes. And I don't mind him trying them there. Do you know what I mean? He can do what he likes. But yeah, it does create some beautiful things. I think this might be a system that I might put onto YouTube, to be fair.
One question then, obviously your AP in this particular tactic is in a more advanced position. What about playing an AP deeper, so in a central midfield position? What would you shy away from doing that? And if you are, like, I guess this is kind of why we've set this up. What is the best circumstance for each different role? It's particularly for an attacking perspective. Obviously, they offer you different perspectives, and different players will suit different things. And much like we sort of ended up summarising with at the end of last week's pod, was, it depends quite often, more often than not. But like, so I guess the situation I will suggest is, so an attacking an advanced midfielder on support, an advanced playmaker on support, but in an advanced position, so in the AMC strata, versus an advanced playmaker on attack in the CM strata. Which would you go for?
Matt, it depends. No, for me, the reason my guy is higher up is because it's all just about starting positions and transitions for me. I want him to sit in the hole, but I want that hole to be higher up and in behind my strikers. I don't want the hole to be deeper, sat alongside where my ball-winning midfielder would be. That's the only reason I've put it there. Also, he's a wonder kid. He really likes to play AP support, and he's green there, so it makes it better, right? That's how we play Football Manager, isn't it?
Makes it better. That's why.
No, that's the reason. I want him to sit in the hole, and I want that hole to be higher, so his starting position is higher, which then in turn will help us attack, rather than him sat deeper. And then those balls have turned from, in my head, again, this is just how I read it, it's turned from a 15 to 20 yard ball to a 30 to 35 yard ball, and there becomes a lie of margin of error, in my opinion.
I think for me, I would have played it deeper historically. I probably, because, and I mentioned it before, I've leaned towards a very short passing style, and also trying to like play it out from the back, out through the fullbacks. I want the playmaker, the guy who wants to get the ball. If he's too far up, we're going to end up trying to hoof it too. Because I assume that the match engine is going, okay, that's a playmaker. We're trying to give the ball to him, and he's always looking for it. I fear that if he's too high up, we're going to try and hoof, try and play a longer ball. And most of the teams I've been at, like particularly in the early days of saves, just wouldn't have the passing ability for it, and I feel like we'd give the ball away a lot. So that's why I've leaned towards the deeper side of it, Matt, as you said, having them in the centre midfield, the CM area, but maybe on attack.
So there's one final question then, to sort of almost try and summarise this, is that all of these roles with an attacking duty have dribbling as a highlighted attribute, and we've kind of covered on this a little bit, but do you think that each of these roles dribbles differently and handles that differently? Obviously, an AP on support or attack, they're a bit more reserved, even though they on the attack role they do have dribbling highlighted as a key attribute. I rarely see my APs like running with the ball. Do you see, like, from when we watch games and watch players in that particular role, is it more so that they can move out of problems and then find a better pass, versus the mezzala and the central midfielder on attack, that they tend to be more aggressive with that dribbling, at least from my perspective? I don't know if what you guys have watched in game, if that lines up with what I've seen when I've used those roles, or whether you have a difference of opinion.
My interpretation would be that the playmaker wants the ball, but as much as he wants to receive it, he wants to give it away as quick. So that's why I think they won't hang on to it as long. He wants to initiate attacks as opposed to carrying it and hanging on to it. And again, you talked about that, Matt, like the traits or the dwelling on the ball or whatever. I feel like either of the playmakers, deep line playmaker, advanced playmaker, it's about receiving the ball and looking for the man. And that's what I've probably observed the most. But equally, I don't like our guys hanging on to the ball too long, because you're just inviting to be dispossessed. So versus the other two roles, more comfortable on the ball, and again, probably better dribbling in those players that you play in those roles, and they'll take the men on or use the space a bit better.
The only thing I add to that is on the advanced playmaker role, it states in the attack duty that an advanced playmaker will look to run at the defensive line from a deeper position. So from that deeper starting position, he's going to look to run at the defense, and then he'll aim in to try and craft out a cross or a through ball opportunity. So as he moves into that final third, so he's probably going to be, he needs to carry the ball, but I guess as much as dribbling, he won't need to be dribbling past players. As soon as he gets to a block or somebody, he's going to look to pass that on. Which I think would be different to what I would think the mezzala, for example, would be doing. I think they'd be looking to, I've seen them in the match engine look to take players on as well, especially out on the wider area. So, I still think it's very key, but I don't think it's as key as it would be for the other roles as it is in the playmaker one.
Lovely. Well, I think we can conclude, much like we did last week, that it all depends.
Who the fuck knows?
No, I like these conversations. I like the defence and the attack one. I mean, it's inspired us lot to, try different tactics, and I hope it has for people that listen in the same with the roles as well. Yeah, me. But I'm sure people listening have as well. But same with the roles. If there's roles that people haven't used and they're trying them out, let us know.
Do you know the real winner here is Squawka, Dave, for the future videos?
Big up Squawka. Yeah.
Right, we still have time left, so that does mean that we're getting a quiz.
Actually, I've got more points, Matt. I've got more points I'd like to talk about.
It's too late for that. I've said it's quiz time, so it's
on
now
camera now as well.
It's out there now. Now you can see some puzzled faces. Okay, so this week's quiz is called Football Friends. Ooh, friend. So what we have here, guys, is I'm going to name a number of players, and basically what you have to do is guess who is the player that they all have in common as a favourite personnel in Football Manager.
Oh my
Ooh.
God.
So basically, I'll name a few lads, and you have to say who do you think they all have the same mate in common.
I like that.
Shouldn't be too difficult, hopefully, but Dupe looks very confident, as you can see, if you're watching the video. So, fastest finger first, shout your name, and we'll see how you get on. Ready, Dave?
Let's go, yeah.
Good. So, question number 1. Lautaro Martinez, Paul Pogba, Christian Eriksen, Dupe.
Lukaku.
Lukaku is the correct answer.
Shout.
Point for Dupe.
I was going to say
That's how it
Conte.
goes, lads. Next one. Lionel Messi, Neymar, Sebastian Coates, or Coates if you were reading it as it looks.
Dupe.
Dupe.
Luis Suarez.
He's done it again, lads.
Oh, big shout.
Luis Suarez is the correct
That's
answer.
good.
Well done.
Very
Uruguay
good.
link in it.
Question number 3. Jadon Sancho, Timothy Fosu-Mensah, Jesse Lingard.
Dupe.
Dupe.
Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford is the correct answer. Dupe.
Mad.
You're loving this quiz. Question number 4. Lucas Hernandez, Diego Costa, Francis Coquelin, Diego Godin. Who have
Dupe.
they all got in common? Dupe.
Thomas Lemar.
Incorrect.
Can I go
Nerd.
again, or do I have to wait?
We'll give the two lads a chance.
Yeah.
So we've got
just
Lucas
said
Hernandez,
nerd,
Diego
so-
Costa. Oh, sorry, nerd.
I'm going for Simeone. Does it have to be a player?
Incorrect.
Does
It
it
is
have to
players
be
I
a
have
player?
here, yeah. Incorrect.
Right,
Say them again, sorry,
I-
Matt, and I'll have a dig.
So Lucas Hernandez, Diego Costa, Diego Godin, and Francis Coquelin. The two boys were on the right track, Dave. in
Yeah, I was
terms
going to
of
say, I reckon
club.
Atleti, French.
The listeners are shouting at Dave.
oh, I think I know who it is.
Oh, Black. Nah, I don't know.
Nerd.
Incorrect. Nerd.
Is it Miles's mate Grizzy?
It's Big Grizzy
Oh,
Antoine
of course it
Griezmann.
is.
Correct.
Oh.
I thought you had it, Dave. I thought you had it.
I thought he still played.
I thought he still played for Barcelona.
No.
There you go. Next question, number 5. Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka, Serge Gnabry, Jamal Musiala.
Dave,
Dave.
be anyone? Muller?
Incorrect.
Nerd.
Nerd.
Neuer.
Incorrect. Right track, though.
What German goalkeeper?
German and maybe club.
What was the other list, mate? You go.
Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka, Serge Gnabry, Jamal Musiala. We actually spoke about this guy last week.
Dupe? No.
Dupe.
I wouldn't get it.
I'm trying to think who we spoke about last week, Naves.
We've had a busy couple of weeks. This guy currently plays in the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich,
Oh, that lowers it down.
having moved there from the Premier League.
Dave,
Dupe.
I had Dave in my ear.
Leroy Sane.
Leroy Sané.
Literally, that was-
Forward. Well done,
Before
Dave.
he even existed, to be fair.
That's
We
what
talked
happens when
about
they
it. You weren't
leave.
here last week, did we?
What was it? I can't-
right.
I can't remember.
Question number 6. Leo Messi, Gerard Piqué, Emmanuel Adebayor, Radamel
Dupe.
Falcao. Dupe.
Oh. I was going to go Fabregas.
Fabregas is the correct answer.
Oh, the
What a
Falcao
shout.
threw me, but then he's at Chelsea, I guess.
Oh, Monaco.
Good
huh?
shout, yeah.
Oh,
Monaco.
Monaco, yes, of
Monaco
course.
as well, yeah. Good shout, Dupe. Question number 7. Dejan Kulusevski, Dusan Vlahovic, Ante Rebic, Mario Balotelli. All list this guy as a favourite personnel.
That's a weird mix.
That's a really weird move.
Dave,
Dave.
Alexander Kolarov.
Incorrect.
Nerd.
Nerd.
Zlatan.
What a shout from Nerd Phonic. Zlatan.
Oh,
Great
good
shout.
guess.
Well done.
Wait, did you say Vlahovic?
Yeah, Vlahovic, he must be quite fond of Zlatan. Maybe he's his role model, I don't know. But Kulusevski maybe helped with the Swedish match. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's what I.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Good shout. Question number 8. Luka Modric, Mesut Ozil, Marcelo, Lucas Vasquez.
Dupe.
Dupe.
Tony Cruz.
Incorrect.
Nerd.
Luka Modric. Nerd.
Casemiro.
Incorrect. Good right track though, lads. Luka Modric, Mesut Ozil, Marcelo, Lucas Vasquez.
Dave.
Dave.
Sergio Ramos?
Sergio Ramos is the correct answer, Dave. Well done. Point on for Dave again. Right, we've got 2 to go. Next one. Cristiano Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, Fabinho,
Dupe.
Dupe.
James. I was going to say Bruno Fernandes. It's wrong. Oh.
Incorrect.
Dave.
So I'll go. It's Dave.
Bernardo Silva.
Incorrect. Did I not say Bernardo Silva was one
Oh,
of
did you
the-
say it during the list?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we've got Cristiano Ronaldo. He's friends with himself. Ooh, friend.
Yeah. Oh, friend.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, Fabinho, James Rodriguez, and Radamel Falcao. I'll throw you a little clue here. Dave as a party likes this.
Dupe.
Dupe's reacting. Dupe.
Coutinho. Coutinho, sorry.
João Moutinho is the correct
Ah.
answer, and he's
And
taking
it
it
was
away
a
from you,
Monaco
Dave.
link there. Flip.
Yeah.
Like,
Good
I
shout,
would
Dupe.
have
Well
remembered,
done.
to be honest. You could have said it's a Wolves player and I probably wouldn't have clocked.
I had Neves in my head and I was just thinking, how can I link Neves? And I went, oh, here he is.
Forgot about that. I knew it was Monaco link, but I forgot Martinho played for
Big fan.
It's a while back. You were a young man then, Dave. And the last question: Leonardo Bonucci, Gianluigi Donnarumma, Giorgio Chiellini. Oh no, I'm just going to say Szczesny because I can't pronounce his first name.
Wojciech.
Wojciech, exactly what I said. So Bonucci, Donnarumma, Chiellini, and Szczesny.
I think we all know the links.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think who isn't one of those players.
Bernardo Silva. Bonucci, Donnarumma,
Hey,
Chiellini,
Man's
and
beefing.
Szczesny.
Dave.
Dave,
Chiesa.
incorrect. So have a little think about the positions of some of the players I'm saying. So you've got Bonucci, Donnarumma, Chiellini, and Szczesny. There might be a link to one of the positions within that group.
Oh.
No. it's not
Say
coming.
once more, man. Say once more.
So you've got Bonucci, Donnarumma, Chiellini, and Szczesny. So all of those have this guy down as their favourite personnel. Been around for a little while.
Dupe.
Dupe.
Buffon.
That's another point for Dupe, lads.
Oh.
Great shout. Well done, Dupe.
I was just like, I can't think. So I was like, oh, I'll just go old. Go old.
Old school. Well done,
No
Dupe.
offense
So-
to those that are older than Buffon, by the way.
He's only about 2 Daves old.
2 Daves. Is that how we're
2
doing
Daves.
things?
Yeah.
I've been playing FM for a Dave and a half.
I was going to say, when you're old enough to be yeared by someone else's age, that's kind of worrying, but there you go.
The scores on the doors: in third place with 2 points was Matt. In second place with 3 points was Dave, and out on his own in front with have I counted there? Yeah, with 5 is Dupe.
Creepy boy.
Well done, Dupe.
Congratulations.
I was actually a good one for you, man, because I won. So
They're only ever good.
It's not
when
biased
Dupe
at all.
He's mad when Duke wins. He paddles when he loses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. To be fair, mate, I'm never mad when I win.
Everybody else is.
Yikes. Yeah. Right. That brings episode 235 to a close. You can find the links for each of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find our latest blog post with a new save concept called the Football Manager Regional Challenge, also known as the Legionnaire. Eyes emoji, I think. Someone's written in that in the script, so I've read it, so you're welcome. 5-Star Potential is available on iTunes, Spotify, and most of the popular podcast apps and platforms, with a new podcast released every week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Just reminded me of Anchorman. Whatever you write on there, I'll just say anyway.
True story.